What is going on, everyone? James Third Bass Layers. I'm out in the bait room today, and today what we are doing is I am painting a bunch of gills that I am in the process of building and making and painting. Got a bunch of them going. I got some of them clear coated with white, and I got some base, the bottom color, the silver on. I got this guy here that is still all white. I gotta throw silver on the bottom of this one. The end result will be this guy. Now this one doesn't have the lines on it. I got in a rush and I completely forgot to put the lines on it, but the fish didn't care. They still ate the bait. Caught an 8-pounder on one of these, same color. And what I'm going to do today differently on this bait, I got all my stencils here for my fins. I have my small stencils with a small fin. The small fin fits perfect on this bait. I have a stencil for a bigger fin that I cut out, but it just doesn't fit on this bait, so I'm not going to use this bigger stencil. Put you over here with the rest of my stuff. And I got the lines for the fin. I got the gill plate cut out. Upside down. Got the gill plate cut out. Alrighty, so the next step here is to use some fluorescent yellow and put that in between. I usually do it about from halfway up onto the back a little bit. Just a little bit of this guy. Give it some of that pop that you see right there, that yellow. Alright, so the next color on this pattern will be the green on the back, which is just Createx opaque green, light green, and we will put that on the back next to y'all. Alrighty, so I got these baits to this point, and I literally ran out of my paint. I mean, it's empty, so I got to get some more green so I can do these guys, and then get to start working on cutting out and shaping these guys, putting tails on them. In the meantime, I got to hit these guys with the hair dryer again. Dry all of these. I got 5 of them ready for the next step. And we'll move on to the next step, which will be wrapping these and doing the detail on the top of them with the sepia. pulling that thing tight, get it all clipped up, ready to paint. Now because I'm short on clips, I've got to do just a couple at a time here. So I can only do one bait at a time. It's going to take me a minute, but that's alright. Now see, I got little holes in this one for a little more detail, and this wrap does not have them. So what I'm going to do here, just take a razor blade, come up in here in some of these spots, try not to chip the paint at all, and just clip a couple of those little spots out. Then what you'll have is a little spot like that. As you can see on this one, you get those spots, they kind of end up looking like this. They're a little bit bigger, and it just kind of throws the pattern a little bit better on there. I guess it kind of mixes up just a plain scale look, gives it a little bit more beat up spots, I guess to say, or something. Makes it look just a little bit more real. So you look a little bit like that when you're done with it. Let's move on to the next step, which is throwing some sepia on this guy. Alright, so we're going to spray the sepia on this. And the trick to doing this is when you spray it, you want to spray it from the top, and when you hit the side, you want to go to angle. So it will spray down. You'll still get some of the yellow on the top, but the sepia will hit on the bottom, and it'll give you like a shadow line. It looks pretty cool. It's a little trick I learned from watching Jen from Gill Plates. And I'm going to do that right now for you guys. Just going to get a little loud here. Plug my airbrush back in. Alright, so this is kind of the fun part of these paint jobs. I have to peel all these guys off. See what we have here. Now that also works really good for like a bass pattern, maybe even a crappie pattern. So you could take this paint job from this point and you can go multiple ways with it. We're going to finish this out with the bluegill pattern. Pretty cool stuff. I take those clips off of there and kind of help hold the material. Put it back on there. You gotta make sure you hit it with the hair dryer. If you don't hit it with the hair dryer, your paint will still be wet, and when you go to peel off your material, you're gonna peel off all of your detail. And it will all smear together, and you won't have your little lines in there. So you wanna make sure that you hit it with the hair dryer. You know, I just picked this guy up at a thrift store for like a couple dollars. It's all beat up and broken and everything, but it works. That's the only thing. It works. So a couple dollars at the thrift store. I'm looking for another one in case this one goes out on me. And you don't really have to spend a lot of money, just like this microwave and this guy. Got all the stuff at the thrift store, man. Just gotta do what you can. So anyways, I have all of these guys ready to go also, which I think I'm just going to go ahead and paint all of them so I can do all the detail at the same time. I can do all the fins and I can do everything at once, and I don't have to waste time. That way, I'm trying to figure this out in my head how I can do it the fastest. So I think I'm just going to paint them all with the wrap and the sepia, and then I can do all the fins at the same time, and I can do all of the purple on these baits at the same time. It'll go way faster. So we got all of these guys to this point, 5 of them, and the next step will be to do the purple on them, which will be very simple. Take some pearlized purple, and I take this little piece of material that's in this little holder, and just stick it on there, and stick it on there, bap bap. Getting there. Next step here is to put that orange on the bottom. And the orange that I use is the Sepia color acrylic paint. I get this from Spray Gunner online. And this stuff is Japanese airbrush paint, made in Japan. This stuff is really kick-ass. The kit that I got a long time ago from somebody, I traded them some work and they gave me an airbrush kit which had this airbrush in it and a bunch of stuff. It was from somebody that did fingernails. It's been working for me until I can get an Iwata. But that kit came with a whole bunch of this kind of paint, which is all of these paints here that I got, the old hobby colors. And those things are like thick, man. When you use this stuff, you don't have to use much because it's so thick. And I've got some other colors from like Createx, like this orange. It's the fluorescent orange. I mean, it's pretty good if you put like a white base down, but if you're trying to go over other bright colors, this stuff right here is the way to go. It really kicks. If you see that bottom on that, just, it looks good. I don't know, I like it. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna put some orange on the bottom of this, and then all of the backs of these baits will be done, and I can go ahead and I can start working on the fins and the gill plates on these ones. So getting there. Only problem with these paints is getting these lids off, man. These things are a pain in the butt sometimes. They get stuck. You gotta use a pair of pliers to get them off. Look at that paint, man. This stuff is juicy. Let's put this guy back. Like to give it a little bit of a splat on there too. Never forget that inside. Inside of that bait matters a lot. There you have that. Move on to the next one. Just a little bit over that purple. You don't want to do too much. You want to leave those colors. Just give it a little bit of that orange so it shows off on both sides a little bit. And I'm going to do all 5 of these. Move on to the next step. Alrighty, so the next step on these guys is going to be doing the lines coming down, and the way I'm going to do the lines, so just use an old comb, stick the comb on there, and spray it out. So we'll do that. Alrighty, so we got the gills to this point, and the next step is going to be taking stencil that I cut out, using the stencil, and putting the gill plates on here. I'm going to be using some white, and some black, some red, which is in the house. I'm going to go grab it, this color shift blue, so we can get that going right there. Anyways, let's get to her. Alrighty, we got the gills, both sides painted white for the base. And the next thing we're going to do is put some black in the airbrush. Wicked Colors black. And I'm going to go back with the stencil. And what you do is you just offset this a little bit so you leave a line of white up on the top. Sometimes when you're doing these gill plates, they don't come out exactly right. And I have a little cure for that. What I do is I come back with some white and a paintbrush, and I come back and I'll hit around some of the spots to kind of clean them up, make it look a little better. Like this one didn't get the white on the top. That's alright, I'll fix that up. Alrighty, so we touched up the white lines a little bit, made them a little bit cleaner looking. The next step here is going to be putting this color shift blue onto the bait. Right there on the gill plate, that will be the next step. A little bit of that blue on there. Got the blue on these guys. Color shift. Looks pretty cool in the sunlight. So the next step here will be to do the fins. So I got my stencils here for the fins. I got the main part. I was using this little 3-piece cutout, but it doesn't really fit on there, so I recut this guy. Fits on there better and makes for a better fin. So we'll be doing that here next, putting the fins on these guys. Ready, we got the white for the background on these. We're just going to take the same stencil, kind of like we did on the gill plates. I'm just going to offset this just a little tiny bit and spray some sepia on it so we can get it to look a little bit more like that guy. Alrighty, so I have my lines for my fins, but I can't see through this plastic anymore. I guess I could take it and clean it off, which I probably will do. I'll clean this off and I'll be able to see through it. But in the meantime, what I did was I just sprayed it on this guy, which is a new piece, and I recut it out. That way I can see exactly where to put those lines on there when I spray it. That way the lines won't be off. Sometimes if you got the paint on there and you got to put it down on, you can't see, so you don't know where your lines are at. You'll end up with your lines coming up off the fin and it looks all messed up. So save some of these plastic. I mean, I get this plastic from different things off of like baits and the bait boxes and like different packaging and stuff. So save this stuff if you can. I recycle and reuse most everything that I can to do this. So let's get to painting these guys. I take this guy and I clean it off. Now I can see through it to do the next one. Well, finish doing these, and we'll get to the final step. On to the next step here, and the final step, which is going to be putting the red on. Just like on this guy. A little red dot and a little red line going up underneath in that little carve, and that'll be it. And then I put the eyeballs on. I always sign the baits and I number every single one of them, so we will get to that next. So I got my Wicked Colors red. Gonna mix that guy up a little bit, and then we will get to putting some dots and some stuff on here. Getting there. I got one more thing I'm going to do on these different. I'm going to take this pattern here and I'm going to put it right here on the face, and I'm just going to get right around the eyes and right on the face right there just to give it a little bit more detail. I kind of covered up a little bit of the detail, so I'm going to do that, and then that will be the last step. Then I can put some eyes on these. Pretty cool. This one does not have it on it. This one does. You can see it's got a little bit more texture to it. One last detail. I take some sepia on my paintbrush, and I just come along the outside of these fins. Just to highlight the outside a little bit, just so you can see it. That'd be the last step on all these guys. And then put the eyeballs on them. So the next step here, and the final step before the clear coat, is to put some eyeballs on these baits. These are the look down eyeballs. I'm going to be using some Gorilla Glue, the super glue gel, and this stuff works better than the regular super glue. What I'll do here is we'll start off with the bait. Just take a little tiny bit. You don't want to use too much of this stuff. Just get a little tiny dab there. Just use this little needle. And I think I'm going to have these ones looking back instead of down. That on there. Okay, with the eyeballs. Next step after putting all the eyeballs on will be to individually clear coat these pieces and then attach it all together, and they will be finished. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. My bait held up.